After you start a Nexus study, you will see this overview page. This is where you will upload financial data from your client, physical presence information, and where your client is filing sales tax returns. Let's start with uploading financial data. To upload financial data is pretty simple. You have two options of the type of import you're going to import, either transactional or invoice. So that means either transactional, each line item is a different transaction, or each line item is a line item in an invoice. In this case, we're going to use an invoice. You're going to choose your financial information to upload, and then upload the CSV. Here you're going to assign headers, and basically what you'll be doing is taking the headers from your CSV document and connecting it to our headers. That way we'll be able to crunch the numbers more accurately. For an invoice ID, transactional information, you're going to put invoice ID as one of the column headers. If you're doing a transactional, you will not have this one. Next, you'll add the primary location, and you'll have a secondary location. So if the first primary location is blank, they will use the second locational column. Next, you'll put the invoice date or transaction date and the amount. You'll also have an option to subtract from total invoice amount taxes, shipping. So if those are columns in your CSV, you'll be able to do an elimination of those. Next, you'll manage your exemptions. You have different options to manage these exemptions. You can come back later and add these in later if you do a taxability study and you want to add them at that time. In this case, we have an exemption. Our column is just exempt. Our sell value is X, but it could be anything, and we're going to apply it to all the states. Next, we'll preview the analysis, and you'll have an overview of what we've inputted for the crunching numbers. Next, you'll see a summary page where it'll tell you all the successful uploads and the failed uploads. So if there's any failed data points you have in your CSV, we will have this here where you can download it and you can review it and re-upload this specific failed upload CSV. That way you don't have to manipulate all your data. In this case, we have 1,700 failed uploads, and these are all to take into account international sales. Since we don't want those international sales to be taken into account, we're going to leave it, and that's totally fine. You'll also see a breakdown of state by state, the information in those in that CSV. Once you've inputted the financial data, you'll also input the physical presence data. So let's just say our client here has an employee in Florida. We can say there. We have a start date. So let's just say they started in 2019. June 1st of 2019. You have an optional end date as well, so you save that. You can also add multiple states to this employee category and add more later if you have some later. You can also add inventory, servers, things like that. You have the control here. And then we have the next thing is the sales tax filings, where your client is filing sales tax currently. So let's just say in Arizona, they started filing in February of 2020, and they're continuing to file. So you add that, and you'll do that for each state that they're filing returns. And this will be reflected in this big box right here. So you'll see all of the states that are triggering Nexus. You'll be able to see all of these states. Also, you'll be able to see the states in which you're currently filing sales tax in, and all the rest of the states that have not been triggered or you're in compliance with. We also allow you to look deeper into each state's data. So if you click into California, for example, you'll see a more detailed overview of the information you've uploaded and inputted into our system. A couple very notable things is exempt from Nexus and exempt from exposure. We take this information that you've put in at the beginning of the financial data process, and based on the state's statutory rules, we exempt non-taxable items from Nexus if that applies to that state, and we exempt those items from the exposure calculation, so you have a more detailed overview or more detailed estimate of exposure. Other things that are pretty interesting are this Nexus triggering on. We determine when Nexus was triggered on based on the data you provided, and also register by, which we take into account the grace periods of each state to determine when you need to tell your client to register by. This is very informative information for VDAs and also when to register. We also give you a VDA liability breakdown and a savings that your client would get if they do a VDA. We also list all the physical presence information in this page. And we also give you exposure information. The data provided only had 2022 information, so we don't have 2023 or 2024 info, but you can see a breakdown of that information here for the exposure. We also have the economic nexus activity where it shows you how much your client each year, based on that data, is close to economic nexus. And we also take into account the statutory look back period. In this case, it's calendar year, and we do an economic nexus basis on that. We also give you the effective dates, as you can see right here, so you'll be able to communicate that with your client. Lastly, we have this edits notes section where you can give a recommendation to your client and give in any notes that you would want to give to them. This shows up on both the PDF report and the Excel report that we give you at the end. So once you've gone through all of the information and all of the states, you can export your report here. This will be emailed to you, and it's a PDF report, and we give you an Excel report that has all the information, cost-benefit analysis, so you could make your own report if our PDF report doesn't fit into your workflow. If you want to know more about our product, we would love to give you a more in-depth demo. Just go to our website, schedule a demo, or give us an email.